أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين مولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في كتابه الكريم وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Respected scholars, my elders, my brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As a sign of deep respect and a declaration of our love towards the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, we offer our heartfelt condolences to Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Our condolences are humbly offered to our Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. And his pure progeny alayhimus salam. Finally, our condolences go out to all of you here, my brothers and sisters, and to all those who have been fortunate enough to proceed on the spiritual journey of Hajj, where they will inshallah have the opportunity to pay their respects and perform the ziyarat of our loving, kind, fifth Imam, Imam Mohammed Baqir, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. Right. Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam had a unique birthright. His right, compared to other Imams, quite different, quite unique. Uniqueness of his birthright of our fifth Imam is that his both grandparents, the maternal grandfather Imam Hassan alayhi salam, paternal grandfather Imam Hussein alayhi salam, his mother Janab Fatima bint Hassan, and his father Janab Ali Zainul Abidin bin Imam Hussein alayhi salam. And he is the only Imam who has come down from one person, Imam Ali alayhi salam, through Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. Let's keep that in mind. Ismat from the mother's side, Ismat from the father's side. Now, if we remember the Holy Prophet's hadith, when he says, Ana Madinatul Ilm wa Aliyyum Babuha, I'm taking you some 80-90 years before Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam was born. When the Holy Prophet declared this, remember, after he left this world, Imam Ali alayhi salam stood up and said, Saluni, Saluni, qabla an tafqiduni. Ask me, why? Because I am the door of this shahr, of this city of ilm that the Holy Prophet has given to me, granted to me. Ask me before you lose me, because I know the roads of heaven more than the roads of this earth. So ask me. No wonder the descendant of Imam Ali alayhi salam, through the grandsons of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam and Janab Fatima bint Hassan, where he got Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, deservedly stands up as Baqirul Ulum of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, Saluni, Saluni. They asked him, how many hair do I have? When Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam was, people were declared that this person is Baqirul Ulum. He has so much knowledge, they knew about it. But when Jabir ibn Abdullah al-Ansari comes and gives him the Prophet's salams to Janab Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, remember one thing, he is the only Imam who was given the salam of the Holy Prophet himself. Oh Jabir, when you see Muhammad, give him my salams. After that, Jabir, you're not going to live long. He tells him, Baqir, at that time the Shias of Ahlul Bayt, let me say Shias of Imam Ali alayhi salam, open their breasts, open their chests. They could feel there is light at the end of this tunnel. They could feel that there is an ocean of knowledge that Imam Ali alayhi salam was prepared to give. Nobody was prepared to listen. Today we have got somebody from the same descendants of Imam called Muhammad Baqir salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Ya Ali, Baqir is a splitter of knowledge. When we see knowledge or when we get knowledge, knowledge is knowledge. But Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam had a unique position in the history of mankind, in the history of Islam. He was called Baqir because he could split the knowledge, split it into microscopic points and atoms, goes to the depths of the oceans to give you what is right in the depth of this statement. That is Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. Unique. It's not only knowledge. It's an analysis of knowledge. If today we all stand up, we have mujtahideen, we have fuqaha, thanks, wallah, to Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. He was the one who started this college and this university where fuqaha were produced. They could analyze what knowledge is. They could analyze what Quranic ayat mean. They could analyze what is in the heavens. They could analyze what is inside the earth. Do you believe that now we understand chemistry and mathematics? That chemistry and mathematics, the one who initiated and pioneer of chemistry and mathematics, Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. When was all this? 95 age. 80, 90 years after the Holy Prophet left. At that time, we have chemistry and mathematics, in-depth analysis. That is why he's called Baqir al-Ulum. No wonder. Sunni scholars and historians, and I want to quote one special Sunni scholar. One special scholar, Ibn Hajar al-Makki, a staunch enemy, a staunch opponent of the Shiaism, a staunch opponent of the schools of Imamat, a staunch opponent of Shi'an Ahlul Bayt, a staunch opponent of the followers of Ahlul Bayt. He is saying in his book, Sawaik al-Muhrika, huge volumes of books. He has written so much in that book. He stands up and records a statement and says, it is beyond the power of a man to recount the deep impression of knowledge and guidance left by the Imam Muhammad Baqir, on the hearts of the faithful. His sayings about devotion and abstinence, knowledge and wisdom, and about religious exercise and submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are so great in number that the size of this book that I'm holding is quite insufficient to cover them all. Ibn Hajar al-Makki, greatest opponent of the madhab of Ahlul Bayt. He was the one who strongly supported the three caliphs before Imam Ali alayhi salam. In his book, he's writing this. Imam was a towering figure in the history of mankind. Imam was known all around him. But I'll take you some years before Imam was actually proclaimed Imam. a few years, and I take you back to Bani Umayyah. Bani Umayyah, from the time of Muawiyah, suppressed the followers of Ahlul Bayt. Muawiyah could not stand the name of Ali alayhi salam on the lips or on the tongues of any person existing from Syria to Egypt. He could not stand it. They were so jealous. Because Imam Ali alayhi salam, he rightfully would people praise him. How can you get an Imam or a personality like Ali bin Abi Talib? Where? So kind, so generous, so loving, so brave, so straight, so just. Where you'll find everything, all the qualities in one person. He could not stand somebody speaking good and praising Imam Ali alayhi salam. The politics started from there. Shian Ahl Bayt was suppressed until Imam Hassan alayhi salam was poisoned, because Imam Hassan alayhi salam stood up and spoke against Muawiyah, and during that fight he had to sign that peace treaty. It was an imposition. Imam did not want to go for peace treaty. I'm just taking you a little bit history so that we can understand the times of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. Then comes Imam Hussein alayhi salam. He stood up, he rose against Yazid and got brutally, mercilessly martyred along with his family members and loyal die-hard companions. It did not stop there. Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam was only 4 years old in Karbala. He was present. And he witnessed all the atrocities of Karbala, the day of Ashura, the night of Sham-e Ghariba, in the streets or on the streets of Kufa, in the streets and darbar of Sham, and in the dungeons of Damascus. Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam was present. He went through all this. Remember one thing, when you read history, wallah, I'm telling you, adults like you and me will give up. With all these atrocities and tortures, we will give up. This small boy, 4-year, 5-year-old, just stood firm, patiently, and came back with his father, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam, back to Medina. What was the purpose of the massacre of Karbala by Yazid? That merciless, ruthless, vicious descendant of Bani Umayyah. What was his purpose? Only one, to quieten any clamor of social justice from any corner of the Muslim empire. He was controlling all the Muslim empire. This was the purpose of Karbala. If Imam Hussein alayhi salam does not give me bay'ah, kill him. He did that. And he mercilessly did everything, not only that, to instill fear in the public's minds so that nobody can dare do what Imam Hussein alayhi salam did. What he did? He paraded the women folk of Imam Hussein alayhi salam and the Holy Prophet on the streets of Kufa and Damascus. This was the intention. Instill fear. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam could not speak. Could not stand up like Imam Hussein alayhi salam. No, he did. He could. Whenever he was asked, he gave curt answers. He did not have hanky-panky here and there. He gave curt answers. Imam Zainul Abidin bore all the pains and humiliation of watching the women folk without hijab in the streets of Kufa and Sham, for one reason, so that the true values of Islam are not buried by his martyrdom. Remember one thing, in the history of Imamat, no two Imams have been martyred together. Imam Zainul Abidin had to ensure that his life is spared. Imam Hussein made this assurance to him, this is the Imamat. Your life will be spared, but humiliation you will have to face. Imam Zainul Abidin said, I will take it if Islam is being saved. When they went back to Medina, they taught Islam. Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam taught Islam, but through Sahifa Kamila. Imam taught Islam through Charter of Rights. Imam taught Islam by having private lectures in Masjidun Nabawi. Not official. Privately. Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam was together with him. He lived with his father for 38 years. watching the father silently teaching the ummah, Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam continued with him and taught Islam at that place. But remember one thing, during those times there were civil uprisings going on because of Karbala. Mukhtar Saqafi started his uprising, he got martyred. Zayd ibn Ali, the son of Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam, he started at some other time, he was also martyred. And there were Tabi'een who stood up in support of Imam Hussein al-Islam, they also got martyred, or they also got killed. But there were strifes here and there. There were uprisings here and there. And they had to quash all these uprisings. That is why they brought Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad. They brought Yusuf al-Hajjaj al-Saqafi. These were dangerous animals, wahshi, very, very dangerous at the time of Imam Zainul Abidin and Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. They would love to kill. For them, when they see the blood pouring down of the followers of Ahlul Bayt, this is how they were. They would love the blood pouring down. Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam, quiet. Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam, quiet. They did their job. Imam was poisoned. Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam watches all this, but there is a big problem now. There is a birth given of the Alids. Followers of Imam Ali alayhi salam, lovers of Imam Ali alayhi salam were all spread out into different sects. It was not the Shia Ahlul Bayt that you know, so many sects. The Alids were born. The Zaydis were born. The Qaisanites were born. Zaydis who? Followers of Zayd bin Imam Zainul Abidin al-Islam. Qaisanites who? They took Janabe Mukhtar as their leader. These were the Shia. And they were considering only 4 Imams. Imam Ali al-Islam, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, and Janabi Muhammad Hanafiya as the final Imam called Mahdi, who is in occultation. And they were believing that Muhammad Hanafiya is in occultation near Medina and being surrounded and protected by tigers and lions. These were the thoughts. Islam was gone. To make it worse, when the Abbasid people or the rulers wanted the leadership, because they believe, since being the descendants of Banu Hashim, they believe that it is their right to be leaders, they also started fighting, clamoring. During Imam's time, Imam Muhammad Baqir, and they wanted the leadership. They wanted the leadership. These people, the Bani Abbasid, because of their fights, out of their group came out the dervishes, the Sufis, who used to dance. Zikr of Allah and dancing. This was Islam. Wallah, this was Islam. Read history. What does Imam do? Most difficult time. How does Imam tackle this? He has to do something. Imam immediately, when he saw 4 benefits, 4 ni'mah that he got from Banu Umayyah. The same Banu Umayyah were after their blood. The same Banu Umayyah gave them 4 opportunities to ensure all this Imam could tackle. What were these 4 reasons? 1, the rulers during the 5th and 6th Imam was so many, they were fighting. They were fighting always, and they were changing. One kills the other, this one kills this one kills that one. They were never settled for a number of years, apart from Hisham, Walid, and Abdul Malik. The rest were all fighting amongst themselves. So they had the time, they had to reorganize the Banu Umayyah so that Imam here could get the opportunity. 2, the rulers were corrupt, busy in making their palaces. The rulers were corrupt and they wanted worldly pleasures. 3, there were political unrest all the places in the Middle East. Political unrest making, why? Because of the inhuman treatment that was meted out by the leaders. And 4, these Bani Umayyah ensured that they continued with these policies, and Imam, 5th and 6th especially, even then after that, Imam Jafar Sadiq al-Islam kept away from political parties. Nothing. This gave them the opportunity now to do something. Imam immediately, 3 places in the history of Islam, especially Shiani Ahlul Bayt, 3 his places you will get that full-fledged universities were opened. One was in Masjid-e-Kufa by Imam Ali alayhi salam. 2 or 3 years before he died, he started giving his lectures through sermons. 2 by Imam Mohammed Baqir alayhi salam in Masjid-e-Nabawi. And the 3rd one was by the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where he made Masjid-e-Nabawi as the center of learning. Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam started this school again. And how it was started, subhanallah. People started flocking. From Egypt they got information. From Yemen, from Syria, from India, from Iran. They were flocking, they were coming in hordes. Until Imam ensured that they learn Quranic tafsir, they learn hadith, because so many hadiths were distorted in favor of the caliphs. Imam had to sieve through and give them the right hadith. He sieved through all them. They were taught ahkam, they were taught fiqh, philosophy, Arabic language, until when Imam was martyred, 300 fuqaha were produced by Imam alone in those few years. 300 fuqaha, full-fledged. And these fuqaha were the people who wrote all these hadiths that today, all the hadiths that we get whereby the jurists derive fatwas and rulings, they refer to these 300 fuqaha who wrote books, who actually wrote down the hadith, the true hadith of the Holy Prophet and the A'immah after the Holy Prophet. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. This was Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. There's so much to talk. But just as an incident to show his knowledge, I'll recall one incident when Hisham, out of jealousy, called Imam to Syria. Remember one thing, the rulers were always jealous. They could not sleep at peace. He knew Imam Muhammad Baqir is getting very famous. He knew everybody is following Imam. He was trying to stop all this, but because he was busy trying to protect his seat, and there were revolts here and there, he did not have time to fight the Imam or to stop the Imam. He was busy in Damascus. He was in Syria. He called Imam out of jealousy. He called him to Syria. He jailed him. When he was in jail, Imam started lecturing in the prisons. The prisoners, all of them became Shia of Imam Muhammad Baqir, that until the prisoner, the jailers come to Hisham and say, Baba, revolution is going to take place. Stop him. Prisoners. Revolution is going to take place. Stop him. He stopped him, released him. Imam was released from Syria, coming back to Medina. On the way, he sees there are people gathered around a place. He asked, what is happening? He said, there is a monk here in a hermit. This monk is very knowledgeable, and people surround him and ask him questions, and he answers them. Imam goes to that place and sees so many people. He wanted to ask him something, see what is happening. As soon as the monk sees the Imam, when he comes out of his cave or of his place, wherever it is, he sees the Imam looking at his face and the light from Imam. He shut up. He was quiet. Still, the monk. People go to him to ask questions. This is on his way coming back to Medina. Then Imam says, he asks Imam first, do you want to ask me a question? Imam says, yes, I wanted to ask you a question. Then he says, are you from a noble family? Imam gives him his introduction. He says, let me challenge you. Let me ask you. So, okay. What happens then? He asks Imam and says, which fasting where eating and drinking is prohibited? Or is permitted, sorry. In which fasting where eating and drinking is permitted? Imam says, no problem. If we were asked this question, finished. Fail. Imam says, yes, there was one fast of Bibi Maryam. She was allowed to eat and drink. The only thing was she was not allowed to speak for 3 days. The monk said, quite quiet. Then he asked, what decreases and never increases? Imam says, no problem. Whatever decreases doesn't increase your lifespan. As you grow older, the lifespan decreases. What remains on this earth will never increase for as long as you live. He asked Imam, okay then, what increases now but doesn't decrease? Imam says, no problem. The water in the ocean, today science proves that the ocean water increases by the day, by the minute. Every minute the ocean water is increasing. Imam is telling him the water in the ocean does not decrease. It increases with time, all the time, and the lands are getting less. The Maldives is sinking today. Then he asked Imam, Muslims believe that food and drinks in the heaven do not produce any kind of excretion. You don't excrete. There's no toilet there in heaven. There is nothing like waste. So he's asking, how is it possible that you have food and drink in heaven and there is nothing like washroom? Can you give me an example on this earth? Imam tells the monk, very easy. When you were in your mom's stomach, in your mom's womb, you ate and drank, you were nourished. Nothing like excretion came from your body. This is how it is going to be in heaven. If here there is no excretion, how you can doubt there will be excretion there? That monk just stood silent, and he then got the strength and declared, all of you here, nobody has any right to speak as long as this person called Mohammed Baqir is alive and in the midst of you people. The monk is declaring. That is Mohammed Baqir alayhi salam. Short analysis of his life. But there's so much to talk. We cannot talk and finish and complete this topic. For those who are interested, there's so many books, especially now on the net, there's so much to read. Research, especially the youths, my brothers here, they can sit down, read a lot, and you will see so many things have happened in the history of Islam. And how these Imams protected this faith that we have it so pure, so pristine. Remember one thing, they were the lovers of Imam Ali alayhi salam. But being the lover of Imam Ali alayhi salam is not enough. We had the Alis, we had the Zaidis, we had the Kaisanites, we had the followers of Mukhtar. We even have now the Ismailis. We even have the Buhuras, Dawood Buhuras. So loving Imam Ali alayhi salam doesn't mean you have only one sect. Remember one thing, love of Imam Ali alayhi salam will only ensure that there is the starting point. From there, how you come, you have to follow and come to the doors of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. You leave Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, wherever you go, it will be happening like what happened during the time of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. They had to come back, but Imams were there to teach. Today, who will teach you and me? Tell me. When we hear from the pulpit, when we see things are happening, when we see things are shortened, fasts are shortened, God knows what is happening, dancing is being done inside an Islamic institution, then there are big questions to ask. I don't want to speak so much about it, but please be informed, especially the youths who are going to the West. Open your eyes. I'm not saying everything is bad there. No. Open your eyes. Think objectively. Ahlul Bayt should be the main pivot of our success. Leave Ahlul Bayt, you have lost everything. Then it will become like this tasbih, the beads that are scattered all over the world. The way the Darwishes are doing today, it may happen to you and me. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ya Ali. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Finally, as it happened to all the Imams, there is not one Imam who has lived forever or who has lived for a long life. Not a single Imam. Either they are killed when they are 25, or they are killed when they are 57, or martyred, 63, but you will not get an Imam who has lived 90 years, 80 years. Not that they were not unhealthy. Not that they were sick. They were healthy enough. They could live for 80, 90 years. They could live for 100. They could live as long as Allah wishes, like Imam Zaman alayhi salam. But they could not stand them because they were true to their words. These Imams were here just to give us and guide us to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They wanted nothing from you and me. They never took anything from this world. In fact, they gave their blood, they gave their lives, they gave everything for us. Hisham could not stand Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam. Finally, he got Imam martyred, poisoned. Imam leaves this earth on 7th of Zilhaj. Imam Jafar Sadiq al-Islam gets the opportunity to give ghusl and kafan and bury where Imam Muhammad Baqir in Jannatul Baqi. Jannatul Baqi, today we all know what is happening. There is not one tomb, there is not one grave. They have come and raised everything. Oh Imam Muhammad Baqir, even if those Hajis who are coming to Medina to pay your respects, I don't know how they will do your ziyarat. Probably they'll stand in the gate and say, Assalamu alayka ya Baqir al-ulum. Assalamu alayka ya Muhammad ibn Ali. Probably this is the kind of ziyarat they will do. But oh Imam, I humbly ask you one thing, that at least you got the opportunity to be buried. Your grandfather on the plains of Karbala, he was without kafan, he was without his clothing. That Imam, instead of getting buried, Shimmer orders the horses with hooves of steel, with the steeds, they come forward and trample on the body of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. سورة المباركة الفاتحة.